Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Hello, hello, hello. So as you are seeing today, it's not about a review. I wanted to mention or actually talk about a topic that's very important to me, which is the LGBT community. I do have family that's part of the LGBT community. And since it is Pride Month, I really wanted to do a segment on our LGBT collectors, or I would say folks that we have in the community as well, because I always feel that we need to know a little bit more who's in this hobby, right? It's not the creepy people in someone's basement or someone that's not functioning in life, or those stereotypes out there. So without further ado, I want to introduce two wonderful guests that I have today that I'm so excited. So let's start with Justin. So Justin,
hello.
introduce yourself.
Hello, Justin, or preferred name Violeta, and I'll explain why I do this nickname kind of sort of thing. But my pronouns, I go by anything. That doesn't really matter to me. I don't use labels to kind of hold myself down on gender specifically. And I live in the US.
Woo! Thank you, Violeta. All right, and next we have
Matt. My name's Matt. I live in Ohio. I have been collecting dolls literally my whole life. My pronouns are he, him. You can also use they, them. I'm cool with that.
woohoo! Yay! And oh my gosh, so exciting. I've been wanting to do this for such a long time. So I want to thank you both from the very beginning, and seriously from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me. It means a lot to me. So so thank you so much. And without further ado, let's talk about why we're here, right? To talk about dolls. That's why a lot of folks come to this channel. Talk about dolls, talk about collectibles, because why not? Right? So let's talk about some certain points that I wanted to talk about dolls, and we'll start with Violeta. So Violeta, let's talk about your influence. What has influenced you to collect, or essentially be a collector? Like when did you feel like that started for you?
So I collected dolls all the way from the beginning of my life. So I was born in 2000, so that was early Barbie movie dolls. Those were definitely big hits. And that's what basically collected throughout until...
It's okay. Okay.
Or do you want just go forth?
Okay, so Matt, you want to answer the question?
Yeah. I mean, I really don't remember a point in my life where I haven't had a doll. My first dolls came from my grandma. She got me, I don't know if you remember the show The Big Comfy Couch. There were these little plush dolls of Molly and Lunette, which were little clowns, which really speaks to how the rest of my life went.
Yeah, are they the ones with the yarn eyes or button eyes, or am I confusing it with?
Mine were the tiny ones, so they had little black eyes, and
Yeah,
then Molly had yarn hair.
Thin arms.
The big red nose.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So that's when it started for you? Well, I would say when you were somewhat introduced to that. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. So it definitely did not start with Pullip. So that's what I wanted to do this too as well. Later. For everyone to know, it doesn't always start with Pullip, but somehow we end up with Pullip, right? So how was it for you both? We could start with Violeta. How was life before you essentially consider yourself a collector? How did that come into your life? I know for example, for me, I'll give an example. For me, kind of like what Matt was saying, I've been surrounded by dolls all of my life. I don't even know what it's like not to have a doll in my life. It basically started with my mom, so it's all her fault. So if she's watching, it's your fault. And she enabled me with porcelain dolls. I know a lot of times people get spooked out with that, but that's what I knew. And then it went into Barbie, and then from Barbie, it just different, different lines, Living Dead dolls, Disney, and then Pullip, and then it stayed with Pullip. So how was it for you, Violeta? How, I know it wasn't Pullip, but how was that life like for you? When you were, I guess, how old were you? I guess that's the best way to describe that. Best question.
I think ever since I was a child, But up until, I'm not going to say age-wise, but I'm going to say school-wise, because like the 5th grade, I stopped because the big stereotype, which we'll talk later, is you're too old for dolls. And it was just like, and I think that's 5th grade, I forgot. But basically around that time, people stopped playing with dolls. People would make fun if you mentioned anything about it. It was a lot about electronics, Pokemon, a lot of that, which I still like Pokemon. Don't get me wrong. No hate to Pokemon or any of that stuff. I still like it. It got me into gaming, all that. I still do those stuff to this day. But that's kind of when I stopped, and that's just monotone. And the rest of life just went on without dolls. And then I was not really, I don't want to say I'm a huge anime fan, but I did like anime, and I like Sailor Moon because it was so up my alley. And that's got me back, was seeing the anime.
I can't. Oh my God, I can't. I'm sorry. Matt was just showing his sleeve. Let me see your sleeve. Wait, your arm. I'm like, I don't have it.
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. I cannot. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, sorry. I know we had a moment. Okay. So I think I could relate to that as well. You're too old for dolls, but we'll talk about that in a bit. What about you, Matt?
So I, similar to Violeta, I went through like my childhood playing with dolls. So like I kind of describe my doll collecting as like phases of my life. So like as an early child, it was very Barbie focused. Then as I got a little bit older, it was Bratz focused and like a little bit of my scene. Then after that, I was probably getting close to middle school. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. There is the big purge you go through at some point in your childhood where you're like, I'm done. And you throw it all away. And then like, it wasn't even like a month or so later, I'm just like, I miss them.
Exactly. And I don't know, maybe you both could relate to me when I'm saying this. Like sometimes I know I went through this. I don't think I've shared this before. Like you want to get rid of your collection, not because of you, but because of other people. Like other people make you feel like you shouldn't collect, or you're too old to collect, or it's not cool, or it's weird, or it's, it's not acceptable, like socially acceptable. So I think that's another reason why I wanted to do this video, to open people's eyes that collecting, essentially us adult collectors, it wasn't easy. I personally don't feel, it always was easy. It was, especially if, someone in the LGBT community, maybe you didn't even know your sexuality at one point. You didn't even know what your sexuality was. Like all you knew is that you liked toys, you liked dolls, and then people were automatically putting a label on you, smacking you with this label. And it's like, you're at an age of confusion, discovery, and people are putting extra pressure on you on such a topic that you yourself probably don't even know about. Like I'm just being a kid, like I just have this figure and I like it. But people sometimes make you feel ashamed for that, essentially. I know I felt ashamed for a while, where I was kind of like, maybe I shouldn't play with dolls anymore. Even though I wasn't playing with them, I had them display, like, how like Matt has them on the background. Like I had them display, but people would come over my house and be like, what is that? And I would kind of like not even let them go in there anymore, like my room, because I would be like, that's like the dark secret, and I wanted to talk about that as well. Like, how was it to let out this secret of collecting? Like it almost makes you feel like you're committing a crime, right? Collecting, you're having dolls. It's like, we can't let nobody know about that because they're going to say certain things about us. So how was that for both of you? If it was like that is.
That kind of changed throughout, because in my childhood, that was very similar to where I needed to keep it hidden, or I didn't really keep it hidden, but I didn't want to speak about it too much since it wasn't a thing. But as I can't come back, I'm just like, okay, I don't care what you say. If you don't like it, you can get out of my face. Facing I look the same ways. Just get out.
Yeah, and I think I'm at that point in my life too. Finally, it took a while to get here, but I agree. After a while, you're just like, you know what? Bleep you, bleep you, and just move on with your life. If you don't like it, then just get out of my life. What about you, Matt? Is it similar as well for you?
Yeah. So like kind of like referencing the purge that I talked about earlier. I think like for me personally, in my younger years, I feel like as a child, I lived a very authentic life because you're not as influenced by culture. And I feel like as a child, I consider myself, I grew up as a queer child, right? I wouldn't say gay because it wasn't a sexual, like a sexuality thing yet. At that point in my life, I was a queer child. And then growing up, like I said, it was around like the middle school years. That's when the purge happens that I was kind of like considering like actually like who I might be interested in a romantic partner. And I think that is like why I ultimately made the purge to kind of like close that chapter of my life. In my mind, I thought like, oh, if I just get rid of the dolls, I won't be gay.
Which I'm glad you're talking about that, because that brings me to the next point I wanted to talk about. Like, how has collecting been part of, your life, and how has that influenced, being in the LGBT community? The stereotypes I've heard, I think many people, even watching this video, could agree is if you're a male and you play with dolls, you're automatically gay. That's like, that label is like smacked on automatically from the very beginning. So how was that for you both? Was it like how Matt was saying, something you grew up with and you really you didn't really think about it? It was just who you are? Or how was that process? Like, I guess we could start with Violeta. How was that for you? Like, being part of the LGBT community, like how did that influence, you and your collecting and dolls, I would say in general?
To me, it didn't really affect it like as much commonly, just because I figured out myself at least a little bit before I started to come back into collecting. And when people meet me, they kind of like sense that I wasn't straight. So when I dolls, shocked. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me being in this personal community, because there's a lot of queer people in this area. So I don't know if people aren't just like shocked about it. They're more shocked that I collect dolls rather than me not being straight. But I don't think they went hand in hand that much in my area. But I'm fortunate to have that feedback.
Well, that's actually really interesting, to be honest, because sometimes people would look at it the other way around. Like, they would say dolls equals certain sexuality, but for you it was like people saw you like, okay. It was not like something that would like question you a lot on, it seemed like. Okay. And then Matt, I think you kind of touched a little bit about what we were just talking about. Would you like to talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah. Growing up, I my mom is a lesbian, and growing up with her, like I had divorced parents, so I feel like there's like a lot of like childhood trauma that comes from having divorced parents. But having a mom who was in the community, she didn't really have a problem with me expressing myself as I wanted to. Um, it's weird because like even though like I had such an accepting home life, I felt like at school was kind of like the place where I had most of my issues.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the bullying comes in. Then we have the different, I would say, different crowds, right? We have the preps, we have the goths, rockers, and then I don't know, I would even say the nerds, right? So in school, I agree with you. I think in school is a little bit more challenging because, kind of talking about like the middle school age, you're kind of discovering who you are like as a person, not only just your sexuality, but like you as of you, like how do you express yourself, even in the way, with the way you look. Simple things like that is such a big deal, especially when you start getting acne and the weird body weight, and then the weird hair starts coming in, and you're kind of like in the middle. That's why when I say middle school, I'm like, yeah, I agree with that, because you're literally like in the middle as well, going into puberty. So I'm actually glad that you're sharing this with us as well, because I think a lot of folks don't really think about that too, like how family as well, that also influences you, right? As a person, how do you express yourself? What are you allowed to do or not to do? Because unfortunately, not everyone, unfortunately, doesn't have that type of support. I've known folks that I believe it or not, I actually had to talk to a parent recently where her son, this was like an 8-year-old. You guys, you both know about Super Mario, right? Super Mario, you have Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach. So this little boy wanted a Princess Peach doll. I mean, obsessed. Wanted it because he just wanted it. So his mom calls me, oh my God, help me, he's gay. Oh, and I'm like, Mom, wait, hold on. Hold up. I think wait, like, calm down. So I said, how about, have you asked him why he wants Princess Peach? She's like, oh my God, how dare I? I cannot have that conversation. Oh, that's terrible. So I said, you know what? Let me talk to the little boy. When I spoke to him and I said, so and so, you want a Princess Peach doll? He was like, yeah, like so excited. Oh my gosh. And when I asked him, how come? He said to me something so cute and so innocent. He said, I just want to rescue Princess Peach. I have Mario, I have Luigi, I'm missing Princess Peach. And I said to him, so what do you think about Princess Peach? And he said, she's a pretty girl. And, there was no connection of, oh, because I'm gay, or it was a toy.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I feel like that's an important topic to talk about as well. We just need to allow, I would say, anyone be able to express themselves, whether it's through dolls, right? Or art, or even makeup, like Violeta has. Sometimes it's not always connected to sexuality, or it's just expression, and there's nothing to be afraid of. And I'm glad that we're talking about this, because not everyone has that kind of background, the supportive background that Matt had. What about you, Violeta, if you don't mind me asking? How was your upbringing with that, like your family per se?
So for me, I'm actually still quote unquote in the closet for anyone who feels that same way. To my parents, my brother and my dog is the only family I have that has known what I truly am. And I don't want to say they're absolutely like bad. They still support me, but they still be like, that's not something they settle with yet, nor my doll collecting. They don't love it. And they, not my dad, but mostly my mom have said some stereotypes, but they weren't that mean. Honestly, they're very weak. Like, you're so weird, or you're too old. I'm like you're out older woman. You don't need I don't change, you need to change. No, I'm joking, but like, you get what I mean. I think they've really affected me. So that's why I don't want to say they're absolutely like horrendous, but I want to say they're just not supportive.
Okay. And I thank you for sharing that, because again, that's what I wanted to talk about and do this segments about, being in the LGBT community, and some struggles as well that you may encounter, which is what you were saying right now with, your family being the 50-50. I know in my family is similar with my sister. I've shared with you both. My sister is in the community as well. With us, my father's a little bit more open, but my mother's still kind of like, the stereotypes. You have to dress a certain way, look a certain way, and she doesn't meet that. And then growing up, when she used to play with male toys, it was like Yu-Gi-Oh! I think that's what it was called. Yu-Gi-Oh! Ninja Turtles. It was like an absolute no in the house. And it was like a total, like, it seemed like a whole drama. You would think there'll be a crisis, but it was just her playing with these toys. But at that age, she didn't even know that she was, in the community. She just knew, this is what I like, this is cool, and it is what it is. So it's sad that sometimes, we have to go through that. But I also wanted to do this video to also let others know that you're not alone. If you are in the community, you're not alone. Sometimes you may be in an awkward, if we want to call it that, phase in your life where you don't know what you like, what you don't like with anything, and that's okay. Life is a journey. It's not a destination. That's what I always like to say. It's a journey. Every day is a different beginning. So it's not one of those things you have to figure it now, figure out what you like now with whatever, but it's okay. That's essentially the message I wanted to give out to everyone. It's okay to be who you are and what you like. It's, as long as you're not hurting anybody. What is a dog going to do to you? It's not Chucky. It's not going to come to life and like, you at night or anything like that. So is there anything you both want to say to anybody that's struggling being in the community, or any advice that maybe you would have liked to have been given being at a certain age that perhaps you want to share with anyone watching?
I wanted to say, I also wanted to agree with you that you don't need to decide right now. I definitely thought that I was particularly this and I had to stay that way. Like when I first felt my sexuality was gay, and I thought I had to continue with it. I did When I felt a little weird about it, I was like, no, 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 I am this way. And I feel some way about it too. I still am. But you have to let yourself evolve. You don't want to get rid of the uncomfortableness because it'll stay there until you accept it. It's not going to go away. No matter what you do, no matter how much money you spent on whatever, it's going to stay there until you confront it. And that's kind of let yourself evolve a little bit. Like, even not ideal right now. Like, even though I say I'm non-binary, it still feels a little iffy. It's not what I desirably want yet. And I even chosen like specifically gender fluid. It's where your gender kind of evolves over time. And that's exactly what I'm going through right now, where I'm not particularly right there. I'm not at the gold spot yet. I'm not on the X cross the spies or whatever it says. But just let yourself evolve. Don't stay with one thing. And it's very similar to life as well, where if you're like, your dog died, you can't just stay there when your dog died. Your dog's not going to come back from the dead and just get a bone for you. You're just going to move on.
Okay. I love that response. I don't even know how I could top that. You can't, right? I don't think I can. What about you, Matt? What do you have to say? We're running out of time. So if we cut off you all, we'll be back. So go on, Matt.
One thing that I wish I would have heard growing up is that you don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't owe anybody an explanation. And with yourself and coming to terms with yourself, and if let's even bring dolls into it. Like, if it is something that you are trying or you're figuring out, you're not obligated to tell anybody. I'm not saying keep everything a secret, but if you're not in a place that you feel comfortable with yourself to talk to somebody just yet, don't feel pressured that you need to scream it from the rooftops, or you need to tell everybody. The strangers down the street, it's none of their business what you do with your life and who you are.
That's beautiful. Oh my God. I love the responses you both have given. I think my advice would be, I see collecting and even evolving as a person as a butterfly. Why? I don't know. I guess I'm pretty visual when it comes to things. Why do I think of a butterfly? Because a butterfly evolves, right? It's a caterpillar. Then it goes and becomes, what is the cocoon, right? To turn into a butterfly, and then it breaks and it flies. So I think of us as butterflies. We're always evolving. It's not always, it's not black and white is what I want to say. And that's okay. And sometimes it takes years to know who you are. And that's fine. Like I was saying, life is a journey. So for anyone that's struggling, just like what we mentioned, it's okay. Take a day at a time. And who the heck cares what they say about you? They're not paying your bills. Listen, they're not paying your bills. They're not living in your house. Who cares? Live your life. These people are miserable. That's why they're talking all the smack. Let them talk the smack. They're making you famous. That's what I'm always saying. They make you famous. And that's okay. Yeah, Matt.
One more thing I would like to mention, because I know I see it in comments all the time. There are always people, especially young people, who are always saying my parents don't support me and my doll collecting hobby. Just because you don't physically own a doll doesn't mean you're not in the community. Just because you don't have a collection that, this is my situation, that doesn't mean it's everybody's situation. You know what I mean? You can still be part of the doll collector community. You can still interact. You can still view. You can still watch. You can still keep up to date with things. You can still go doll hunting in the stores just to see them. Just because you don't have a doll, or maybe your parents don't let you have them, doesn't mean that you're not a part of this.
So
just because I talked about it, my parents weren't supportive from then and now. But take your time. I done a lot of research, watched a lot of YouTube, went through so many vlogs on Pullip and etc. before. I decided, you know what, let's just get one. I've already been collecting, like I did Pokemon cards, K-pop albums. I've done so many weird collecting stuff that what Doll's gonna do? They've already seen it all at this point.
So true. So true. So before we get cut off, we'll be right back momentarily. Hold on. Okay, everyone. So we are back from our little itty bitty break. So let's talk about something that we all agree on, right? Dolls. So dolls. So that's why we're also on this channel, right? To talk about Pullip and dolls. So we haven't really touched much on that. So let's talk a little bit more, Matt and Violeta, about how did you end up with Pullip? How did its journey start with dolls? And what are your hobbies? Because I think everyone wants to know a little bit more about you too, right? So who wants to talk first? Matt or Violeta? Who wants to talk more about dollies?
Keep it the way we've been going. Violeta can go first.
I was freezing for the straight 5 minutes. I don't know why. I just now y'all moved. I was like, what the hell's going on? And I realized there was something going on with my internet, but okay, I'm back.
We got you. Don't worry. We here. We got your back.
Okay. So, like I said, I started out with movie Barbies. I don't have any of those no more. I'm trying to hunt for some of them, but I'm not going to pay $75 for one, okay? I don't know. It's not my heart for something that's been mass produced that much. And it's still, I don't really see a lot of people talking about it these days. I don't know. I don't know if it's just where I am, but I don't find a lot of people talking about movie Barbie specifically. It's just more nostalgia based, not that and popularity together. Unlike the doll I'm going to show you here, Monster High. I'm not sure if y'all specifically collected them. They were released back in 2010s. Okay, we got approval. I have more, but currently I brought out the two, these are originally came from 2010 specifically. These were the first batch, specifically because in the community there's certain kinds of bands and elastics they use in their hips. So 2010, the very first batch, they came out with gold elastics, and gold elastics were the most fragile out of them all. But that just kind of tells you they're from the first batch and they do nothing else. But Sculptors definitely took the high value, specifically in elastic space. So they're both specifically gold elastics, and you shouldn't be paying $100 for these. I'm not gonna lie, because
be honest, keep it real.
Yeah, because they specifically they basically brought back the original four already. You can find them in stores if you can. Yeah, they brought them back. I have all four of them, and I have more of those specific kinds. I'm getting them repainted by my friend. I don't know if I'm gonna plug him later, but he's doing my repaints right now, and these are kind of what I really collected. These are what I got into dolls originally, and I'm still hunting for more of these, specifically the ones I had in childhood.
Oh, that's great.
And I went through Pokemon cards, K-pop albums. I went all to that fiasco.
K-pop over here too. I'm guilty. I love K-pop.
It's really expensive as much as Pullip is. And of course, Pullip. This is not a stock Pullip. This is my mini me. Not mini me, but mini what I want to be. This is everything I want to be. Right. I put it into a doll, and this is it. This is truly Violeta at its finest. This is Justin. This is Violeta at its finest, basically. And this kind of modern but kind of softish aesthetic, but still
I love it.
Harsh makeup. I guess I say harsh because with Asians, they don't really like harsh makeup. They like this very soft, natural. Kind of look growing up, but I'm bold, so that's what I like. But I like that contrast. And then I also kind of collect on the side these rainbow high dolls by, if you know Bratz, it's by the same company. Yes, Matthew. And I love her so much. I had to get a replacement because she came with a very sharp chunk of plastic between her legs. I didn't know what to do with it. I shaved it down, but it kind of ruined the doll a little bit. So here's these dolls. These are really dolls for the values. I should say you should start out with them. Her shoes just came off, but whatever.
We're used to that with Pullip. It's okay.
Yeah.
They're only $30, and it's one doll with great quality hair. You get 2 outfits separate from head to toe, usually. And yeah, this is like, these are the 2 same dolls. Well, they have variants because their quality control kind of sucks.
We know about quality control.
Yeah.
Unlike Pullip, they can keep their faces really well. They can keep the actual body well. Unlike these ones, because I'm not going to point them out. I'm going to mention, because on my TikTok, I've mentioned the differences between the 2 I've gotten from them. But
that's good,
yeah,
though. We need more of that. Yes, bring it.
I love her so much because Rainbow High is kind of like the most diverse line so far, I feel like, because literally, little I go.
Everywhere, right? Walmart, Target.
Walmart and Target. Amazon. I got these on Amazon, but you can see she's not afraid to show off her skin.
I love. And see, this is what I love about dolls, like the expression. And like you were saying, even with showing the mini you, that's why I love being part of the Dolly community as well. Like, we're not afraid to express ourselves. Some people might do it through painting. Some of us do it through dolls, right? So I love that you had your me. I wish I should have brought my mini me, because I also have a mini me, man. Is that mini you? Oh my god, and the hair. Oh my god, I cannot with Matt. Oh my gosh.
I used to have that LOL, but I just got lost interest in them, and then I sold them to someone who wanted them more.
I have like I have an attachment issue. I can't get rid of dolls.
I had that, but once I sold my first doll, I'm just like, okay, I can actually do it.
They're my children. I don't know if I could do it yet.
I've sold dolls before, and it's so painful.
I know. It's so bad. It's like I grieve. It's so bad. I grieve the loss of a doll. That's.
It's like that when that purge happened when I was a child. It messed me up. I can't do it anymore.
Tell me about it. I know how that feels, because that's how it was with me. I gave up collecting, like I was mentioning to you both, Living Dead dolls, Disney, especially with Disney. I cried when I sold my Alice doll. Oh, the first Alice. I don't know if you've both seen it. Maybe I'll put a picture here on the video. The first edition Alice was like the ruffly dress. I think I sold it for like $1,000 at that point. I cried because I just had no space. I just put it on eBay, and then when I saw that it sold for $1,000, I was always like, "No, that's not worth $1,000. Like, I want to keep it," but I just had to. So, yeah, we evolve with dolls.
Yeah.
Did you eventually get her back? Like, did you buy her back? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So did you eventually buy her back, or like buy one in that specific, like? Oh.
I'll be honest, since we're talking about different dollies too, right? Besides Pullip, the reason I decided to sell Disney was because the boxes are huge. If I'm not mistaken, they're like what, 16 inches? Matt, I think you know what I'm talking about, right?
They're huge.
Unless you're buying like the small 12-inch, that's a little bit different because they have like their special case. But the 16, I told myself I can't do it. It was like either Pullip or Disney. And I'm like, I can't give up Pullip. So what I did, I sold all of my 16-inch, but I kept 2 of my of the 12-inch. It's like the couple one. It's like Aladdin and Jasmine. And then I kept one. Man, I think I have them around here. It's over there. See, I'm looking at it here. I kept like 2 of those. It was like Jasmine, and I think I kept one from Frozen, and then like the big 16-inch, I only kept one, which was the Rapunzel one. But everything else was like out the door. I just couldn't do it anymore. They're huge, huge, and they're displayed in boxes. It's not like Pullip. You see, like look, or like Matt has his background. You have them out of box. With Disney, if you take them out of box, I don't know. To me, it felt like they looked weird. I just couldnn do it.
Their boxes are designed so like pretty with them, and like it feels like the doll is like in a scene.
Right. And I felt kind of bad deboxing. That was the only time in my life where I've never deboxed a Disney doll. Not like Pullip, I'm like, But Disney.
Same.
Living Dead dolls, why did I stop? Because the collect to be since we're talking about the community, why did I leave Living Dead dolls behind? The community was toxic. Sorry if anyone collects Living Dead dolls, please don't kill me, don't come after me. But the forum for Living Dead dolls was very toxic. It was all about who makes more money. It wasn't about helping each other out. Like, in the Pullip community, our community is a little bit more tight knit. Like, we help each other out. Like, if we want to release and then you don't know when it's coming out, like, we kind of tell each other, like, hey, like, go to Pullip style, or go to Groove. They're having their sample sale. For the Living Dead doll, at least back then, the community, they were very toxic. It was all about how much money you're gonna make, how much am I gonna get out of you just so I could sell you this doll? And you're kind of like, what is this? Like, it was so discouraging. I was like, I don't want to be part of it anymore. So I got rid of them. And to be honest with you, when I did, I didn't even feel much. I didn't feel like that remorse for like the Disney. It was more like, okay, it's out of my life. Bye. The only remorse I had until this day, I'm like, oh, I regret it. It's the Living Dead dolls, Edward Scissorhands doll. That is the only regret that I have, that I sold that doll, because there's never been another doll that I found. I know that Pullip, or Tyang, I should say Tyang. I know there's a Edward Scissorhands Tyang, but it's not the same. Like, maybe I'll put a picture here somewhere as well. It's not the same. It's not. I think it's cuter, the Living Dead doll version. But other than that, I just couldn't deal with the community. I love this community because I feel it's very healthy. There's like a mutual understanding. There's people from different ages, backgrounds, and we make it work. There's not a lot of hate. There's not a lot of like, we're happy. If that makes sense. I think we're just accepting of each other. And that's why I like this community so much.
I used to collect Living Dead dolls, and I am not shouting out this old account I had on YouTube, but I used to make YouTube like reviews of the Living Dead dolls. I was still in high school at the time, but through Living Dead dolls and through YouTube, actually, I met some really good friends that I still have to this day. It's crazy to think that we all met on YouTube, but we had, like, our like little circle of friends. Like, there was a girl from Canada, there were people from the UK, there was like people all around the United States that like we met. And what's funny is a lot of us became drag queens.
That's awesome.
From Living Dead dolls. I don't understand. But after Living Dead dolls, I got rid of most of my collection. I kept like 5 of my favorites. With Pullips, like before I got the Pullip, I was actually, so like my grandma had these like old like doll collector books that you would see at like antique malls and stuff. And they would have pictures of dolls and little descriptions, like talking about the doll, like little bits of history about them. And I was looking through the book and I discovered Blythe. From Blythe, I was like looking on eBay, and I think I discovered Pullip on accident, because I would type in Blythe and then I saw this Pullip doll and I was like, what is this? All went downhill from there.
Right? Oh my God. It's like you go into a rabbit hole. Like, yeah. What about you, Violeta?
Okay, so I came off of the K-pop like community-ish, and I collected regular albums, but I also specifically collected the signed albums that comes from artists themselves. And that's kind of iffy. Yes, promos and all that. The promo stuff are kind of iffy. That's kind of like secret stuff to keep. I'm not going to talk about it since I forgot most of it, so don't ask me, please. I'm not knowledgeable no more. But it wasn't the community. The community was pretty okay. It was half good, half of it was like, some of the problems with scalpers, scammers, bad people, toxic people, etc. So I didn't technically have a negative experience, but I just fell off. I just did not find myself the same joy as I had it early on. I'm just like, no. I wanted to go back here. It was an easy choice. It was a hard choice to sell all of my stuff though, as much as I took a lot of time to acquire it. And I literally just have one, and now it's like, it's never gonna sell anymore. Unfortunately. It's like, it still has some kind of value, but it's just so hard to sell. Finally, I sold most of it. So it was fine in the end.
I need to. I have so many K-pop albums, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with them all anymore. I went crazy.
I have so much too that my husband's gonna kill me. I have been so bad. Like I know I'm a huge fan of, I don't know if anyone watches K-pop, watching my channel, but or hears K-pop, I should say, not watch. Well, watch on YouTube, I guess, too, right? I love Twice, so I have a lot of Twice stuff that my husband wants to kill me. Twice, BTS, Blackpink, Stray Kids, EXO. Like I'm like Monster X. I'm like so deep that my husband's looking at me like, but I don't know. I don't know. I think the K-pop community is fun too. Maybe not necessarily some of the fandoms, because talking about being toxic, there are some fandoms that really want to isolate certain artists within the group, and I don't like that. I feel like if you like a K-pop group, you should like the whole group and not be like cheering on one member and talking trash about the others. Like I don't like that at all. It drives me crazy.
And that definitely explains also some members who like had controversy and had to leave the group, and now they're coming back as their own person. That toxicity as well, just like some newer fans, like they only know what's left. They don't know they don't know what the past group was like as a whole, so they just prefer the new group, and then they're just like, no, this is the best. While a lot of the older fans who knew what it was originally, they try to defend themselves as well. And
exactly.
it's just like the group. Stop.
Exactly. Like it's so crazy, especially like talking about that. I think EXO, if I'm not mistaken, has had members that have left and they're doing their own thing, and then people talk trash about that. It's so annoying. It drives me crazy.
Yes, they definitely had. I remember that they're Chinese members. Most of the Chinese members are the ones that left. I know one member has a wife and a child right now. He's dealing with that as well. I'm trying to think.
God forbid if you have a family and you're in K-pop. Oh, God forbid, or have a partner. Oh my God, they freaking crucify you. It's so crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, the member with the child, I heard back then, there was a tweet about it where a whole bunch of people were just dumping his stuff, like all of his member stuff, onto the street. And people were like, get me there. I want to take it from the street. Like, I'm just like, take it from the street, recycle it. I'm just like, that's so much money down the drain. And then also, that could create car accidents. I'm just like, how do y'all do this?
And those are not real fans, I feel. Like, really? Like, these people deserve to have lives too. Like, you expect them to be single until they're like, what, an ancient, like elderly? Like, you don't think they're going to want to have a life, a family? Like, that's so unrealistic. It's not like in America, we're so used to seeing celebrities, right, with their significant other. Look at Beyonce with Jay-Z. You don't see people trashing Beyonce because she married Jay-Z and had a kid. Like, makes no sense. So yeah. So Pullip, right? I think, Violeta, did you mention how you found Pullip?
Yes, Sailor Moon series got me on. I probably said it a billion times. Originally, I said I only want to collect Sailor Moon pull-ups. That's it. These are really expensive. The second doll I bought, Alice Mint. Done. I already broke my promise. Second doll. I have them.
That's how it starts.
Do you know what's crazy? I don't have a single Sailor Moon pull-up. What's wrong?
You are crazy. Well, you know what? Actually, you're not crazy. They're made out of pleather. So yeah. Get the ones without pleather. Serenity. Who else doesn't have pleather?
Dark Lady.
Dark Lady doesn't have pleather. So get one of the ones that does not have that flip pleather.
Or redress them. That's all of my Sailor Moon pull-ups are being redressed. I just love them redressed. I just like, they're fun with their Sailor Moon outfits, but pleather. I already have like a bit. Like on the bottom of the bin, I keep their outfits. It's just like pleather. Flakes of pleather. I'm just like, just redress them. It's just much better along the way. They're really nice. And they're cheap. Like Sailor Mercury and Sailor Venus are much cheaper than a lot of pull-ups these days.
Go to the sample sale, right? Go to Groove. Anyone watching, go to the Groove website.
Yeah. I got mine, but sample sales have been so much more expensive. I'm just sad.
You were gonna say something?
I've noticed the prices of things going up too.
But you know what's weird? Okay, for Japan, like the currency, it's yen. It's been going down because I bought that new San X pull-up, the Sumuro Gorashi, the Sumiko, the one with the neon braids.
Yeah, the green.
I posted about it earlier when with the owner changing like its chips and all to brown. You mentioned it in your video when you reviewed it. I was like, oh my god, that was mine. But I originally bought it for $96 because it was at a second hand. And then when I checked it back, it said originally purchased for $82. I was like, where's my $15? And that was the same thing with my Mariko. I spent over $400 on her, and now she's $374. I'm just like, where's my money? But then I realized it was that actual currency conversion. The yen went down that much. I was so shocked. I was like, why are these so cheap now? Yeah. So if you want to get Pullip from Japan, get it right now or get it when it's still down. Because I went on Google and looked at the fluctuation. I was like, oh my God, why is it right now that's going down? Why couldn't it be earlier when I had money?
Right, go to a proxy site. I think from Japan, I think the proxy website called From Japan, I think it's fromjapan.jp, if I'm not mistaken. It's a good proxy.
There's so many proxies out there.
I've used them.
You just stick with it.
Or Bai, that's the other one, right? Bai
is good. It's the easiest one I've ever used, but you're gonna have to do it a particular way because sometimes they do some shady stuff. Like I don't know if I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to get pulled out by the company. I still want to use your service, okay? But that's what I've heard. And okay, there's one proxy I really like, and it's called Waku Mono, it's a really long name, but it's really good if you want something quick. And this is specifically for me buying from Bai. There's a certain period of time before they put it onto their app. You can't buy it immediately as it goes onto the market. With the other proxy, they can buy it right off the market. You don't need to wait like a 2-week period for Bai to be like, okay, you can purchase this item. You can just send your request off to that proxy. I'll give it to you to put in your thing, but you can just request it. They will buy it off and then they will do it similarly to Bai. And it's very weird, but that's how it works.
So what I could do is I could share those links too. If you both have any good links I could share on the description, I could share that as well. So anyone that's interested, that's overseas or even here in US, to see what's available, what services are available. I'll put that on the description box as well. We're going to have to come back again because it's going to cut off. So be right back.
You put a commercial, pull up commercial right there.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about and share, I would say, our first Pullip doll, or I would say even at this point, any first doll, if you have any first doll from your childhood. I know with me, some of those dolls did not survive. They've been recycled. So let me show you my first Pullip doll and how this whole madness started. So this right here is Pullip Little Red Riding Hood. She is on a type 2 body, original stock, original body as well. And I basically found her through a magazine at a dentist office. Who would have thought you would find a Pullip at a dentist office? I don't know. Back in the early 2000s, that's how long I've been collecting Pullip. I was at a dentist office. I opened the book. They were talking about some sort of Comic-Con. It might have been San Diego Comic-Con. They were showing Blight, and then there you go. There was a picture of Pullip, and it was her. And I was like, what is this doll? And then, of course, we had no cell phones back then. So I ripped the page of the magazine. I know how bad of me. I ripped the page of the magazine. I went home, went on Google on our home computer, and voila, discovered Pullip. And I found this Pullip on a website that no longer exists. It was called Valley of the Dolls. And I bought her for about $60. Can you believe that? That's how affordable they were back once upon a time. And I don't know, there was just something about her, Little Red Riding Hood, that just caught my attention. She has a very simple face up compared to some of the newer ones, but I just felt like she was so innocent. And that basically started it all for me. Little Red Riding Hood. And then my second one was Aldecita. I know I'm saying that name wrong. I'll put a picture of her somewhere here, which I should have brought with me. But it was basically her. I kept them both. And then talking about purging or things like we were saying earlier, she was one of the ones I purged because I don't know, like I said, I went through that phase. and then sold her to a fellow collector that we all know, which is Klein. I know you all probably know who Klein is. So I sold her my little Red Riding Hood. So I know she's being loved by her now. But then, of course, it was a regret. So I rebought her, and here she is. And then, like Violeta was showing earlier about mini-me's, I think we all dream, right, to have us as a doll version. I know I did. This is a mini-me that I made. This is like my other persona, I guess my alter ego, like the Lolita sweet girl. Wait, here we go. The Lolita sweet girl. She has this really cute curly wig from, is it called Lutz? I think that's the wig company, Lutz. And it's very cute, and it's purple because purple is one of my favorite colors. And I don't know, I just thought she's sweet. And then her face up, I don't know, you can really see that on camera. She has a mole on her face like I do. Wait, where's the mole? The mole's right over here. I don't know if you can see that because the lighting, but she has the same birthmark as me. And this is my mini-me. And she's wearing an outfit that's actually, if you all don't know, it's one of those outfits that you were able to buy back in the day when Pullip was making outfits. So she's wearing one of those cute, fancy Lolita outfits. So this is mini-me. And then, and then talking about other stuff I collect, the only few things that I collect is Disney. This is the last big Disney. Oh, come on. There you go. Big Disney doll that I have left, Rapunzel, because she's one of my favorite Disney princesses. So what about you both? First doll, if you have any first doll or first pull-up you want to share.
You want to go first?
Matt,
sure.
You can go first, Matt.
So let me grab them. One's going to do a flip on me.
And if you share, and if you have any other collections or anything you want to show and tell, please feel free.
So my first doll order was actually 2 dolls. And I think that like these 2 dolls really speak to like the 2 different types of styles that really interest me. And it's Papin and Naomi.
Oh, yes.
Very, very different aesthetics. But something about Naomi, I really liked her long black hair and her like Visual K kind of rocker vibe.
Amy Lee. Sorry, that's Amy Lee.
Yeah.
They should have just called her Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Absolutely. I thought she was like one of the prettiest dolls I had ever seen in my life. So like that's why I had to get her, and her like red lips. So pretty. And
her eyes, like the glitter on her eyes is my favorite. I love it. I don't know, but I love that glitter.
She's such a pretty doll.
Who like collects some pull-ups. He has like Lunatic Queen, Optical Queen. He has a very elegant perspective. That's the dolls he liked. But he really wants Naomi because he's like, it's visual, like a punk, Visual K, and it's like somewhat elegant.
Yeah.
So long, he still had her. I'm gonna have to buy him. I gotta have to buy her for him. Like I did.
Such a pretty doll.
He's worth it.
I gotta throw in that money for him, unfortunately.
Technically my first purchase was actually 3 dolls, but I'll tell you what happened to the 3rd doll. So Papin, I loved her. I love this like cotton candy hair.
I love it.
And her like clown fit that she has going on. Loved it. And it was like so chaotic in all the right ways. And I really, really spoke to me.
She's so fun. Like she's so loud, but like fun, like happiness. I love it.
And she has these really pretty purple eyes that like, they're like the old style eye chips before they like made them like metallic and like more like realistic. But I thought she was really pretty. My 3rd doll was Prunella.
Oh,
I gave her to somebody when I was really young, and I could have died. I regretted getting rid of her so bad. I was so upset. Guess what happened like many years later? I was gifted her back.
No way. From the same person?
Yeah.
She was
I was like, thank God I like got it for like, it was actually like that person and my friend got her back for me for my birthday.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Yeah.
So she definitely holds a special place in your heart. I know there's always that one doll or sometimes a couple of dolls in the collection that just are really close to us. So that's great. Oh,
she needs some repairs. Her wrists have broken.
That's the thing. Yeah, she's a type 3. She's on a type 3 body. Oh yeah. But she's beautiful. Face up. Mhm.
And for type 3 and type 4 plus specifically, or even I don't know if it works on type 2 anymore, but type 2 and type 3 and type 4 have very similar armholes. And if you like Obitsu arms, how they look, their pegs fit into the body, so you can easily, if you like the body torso part of type 3, but you don't like the arms, you could just swap out the arms with type 4 or an Obitsu, and you can keep that element of type 3, but have better wrists.
Which is awesome. Okay. Yeah, because that's the weakness from type 3s, the wrist. Always broken.
That's why I hated it at first, but just get rid of the arms, switch them off. You're just better off.
just do it from the very beginning. Just get rid of it.
Okay. Aside from like pull-ups, my other collection was Tamagotchis. These are like my childhood ones that I've had my whole life. So they're my other like obsession.
No, and the funny thing is that they came back in style. So now you could get them. Like I remember those were like early mid 90s, and like everybody went crazy. It was like this craze to get Tamagotchis, and oh my God. And then when they recently came out, I'm like, OMG, and they look better because some of them are in color now. You're like, oh my God, like I need my cat back.
And you see, the thing is if you don't do your purge and you have an unhealthy obsession with keeping everything, eventually it'll all just come back.
It's all back in style. Yeah. All right, but I love Tamagotchis. No, that's another thing I would say from the 90s that holds a special place in my heart. Tamagotchis. Oh my God. The 90s, such simpler times, I feel.
Younger people, don't say that the 90s are old, okay? I may not be born in the 90s, but don't say the 90s are old. What the hell is wrong with you?
Please. Especially when you go out and they look at your ID and they see 19 whatever. They don't even finish. They're like, here's your ID. I'm like, wow.
I've never been ID'd. I've always just looked old. It's because I've always had a beard. I never had the weird phase like where you grow in and you don't have like, I don't want to say weird, but I never had the like phase where like your like beard doesn't come in. One day I just woke up with one and I was like,
you had a growth spurt overnight.
My mom looked at me and she was like, you need to go shave.
Yeah, we're not old. I'm sorry. If you say anybody from the 90s are old, no. You're only as old as you feel. So, okay. So anything else? What about Violeta? Anything else you want to show us? Or talk about?
Like I mentioned before, my first pull-up was more in the Sailor Moon, specifically Uranus. And I specifically got her because she was, one, commonly found. It's still commonly found today. But two, Neptune is my favorite. I'm sorry. Neptune and Jupiter are my favorite. Specifically because of Uranus and Neptune being a couple, being a lesbian couple in Sailor Moon. A lot of gays speak to that, and I really wanted to get her. Unfortunately, Neptune is super expensive, so I had to get her girlfriend first.
And please, since we're talking about Sailor Moon, anybody that has not watched Sailor Moon, again, since we're talking about Pride Month, please watch Sailor Moon if you can, the Japanese version. Try not to watch the American one because spoiler alert, they say they're cousins, but they're not cousins. So if you want the accurate story, please look at the Japanese anime.
Unfortunately, both are actually kind of hard to find on YouTube these days. It's mostly you have to pay or you have to find some third-party site, unfortunately. Because I don't know why, but recently they just been pulling a lot of stuff off YouTube.
The copyrights, right? I think Crunchyroll, you could see it there, right? Crunchyroll, Hulu?
And Hulu. So, one other thing you could do if you wanted to get like a pretty close to like the original is like read the mangas.
Oh my God, yes. Barnes and Noble. I believe they still have them there as well.
You can go sit down in the store and read them for free.
That's so true. So again, just, being, Pride Month, if you want to be a little bit more familiarized with, because, that's another thing too with the LGBT community and representation. We really didn't see a lot of that representation many years ago. I think we're seeing that more now. And, that's great because, again, people come from different backgrounds, socioeconomic status, everything, ages, and I think it's about time that I think everyone is having, everybody's being represented because, again, we're humans. So If you're not familiar with Sailor Moon, that's one anime I would highly recommend. Again, with the lesbian couple, we have Neptune and Uranus. I think that's the only one. I think the Starlights too. There was talks that they may be transgender, or there's still kind of like talks with that. So, but that's another topic there as well that I would say that Sailor Moon touches a little bit on with the right. I guess that's the best way to say that. But I know there's other anime as well. But since we're talking about Sailor Moon, I think we all love Sailor Moon. Definitely watch it. It's a wonderful.
And one thing that like you're mentioning, like with like bringing you back to like why we're here, like we're talking about dolls during Pride Month. Something that interested me about Pullip specifically, whenever I was like first discovering them, is now keep in mind like all dolls are characters, right? So like you from your life experiences, you impress on them like you're from your experiences. So like for me, growing up, whenever I saw I forget her name, she was a type 1 or a type 2 body, but she had the like mechanic outfit and she had a rainbow pin on her. I always identified her.
I can't remember the name.
I can't remember her name.
She's the dark with the brown hair. She had like this like mechanic brown outfit. Oh, this is ripping my mind.
She had a headband on.
Yes, the rainbow head, the red, yellow, blue headband kind of style. Oh my!
Was it the? Wait, I think I know who you're talking about, but I don't want to say. Let me.
I'm searching it up.
Whatever we find it, we'll put it on the video as well. I'll put a picture on the screen.
I'm shouting out, pull up.
So what about that release, Matt? Wow, Violeta searches for it.
So like to me, whenever I saw Pullip, I was really interested in them because I felt like a lot of the dolls had some, not a lot of them, I shouldn't say all of them, but like to me as a queer person seeing them, there was a lot of queer representation in them, at least like aesthetically from like what I could tell. Because that doll had the rainbow pin on her outfit. So to me, I identified her as a queer doll.
And that doll is Asa, A-S-S-A.
Yes, with the jumpsuit. Yes. And like she has like, I love her braid. Like she has braids. Oh, I know that. Oh yeah. She's really cool.
So there was her. I always felt like she was like a doll that represented somebody from the community. And I felt like some of the boy dolls, like the Taeyongs, I felt like some of them, like with their like makeup being done, like to me as a queer person, as somebody who like, that was like what I was going through. I was like, this is kind of cool to see like this kind of representation in a doll company.
And and that's a big thing that you're mentioning, because again, talking about representation, I know at least in the early 90s, there was not really a market, or like the market wasn't geared or wasn't directed that way. It was more like the typical, don't come at me peeps when I say this, the blonde doll. Don't come at me, the blonde with the blue eyes. We didn't really get a lot of variety or diversity, I would say is the best word, in any kind of, until like later on, which is great because now you kind of feel like I see myself in that. Like I see myself in that doll. Like I could relate to that. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely when back then they were motioning towards the perfect female ideal. And I forget there's a very specific term on how you say like not female stereotype, but there's like a single word for it. I can't remember what it is. I've learned it a while ago. But yeah, definitely it's now geared towards expression rather than aiming towards one thing. And it's very similar to now on everything else, not even just dolls, games, etc. Like even school subjects specifically. I don't know why, but you can really express how that weirdly.
And and I'm glad we're talking about this too, because I know this is another topic that's very dear to me, and I promise you all I won't bore you with my obsession with comic books, but superheroes in the DC world, right? And in Marvel, in later years, Batwoman. I forgot which version because there's so many Batwomans. One of them is lesbian, right? That's something we didn't see back then. Or even not even just sexuality, even backgrounds. Like right now we have on Disney Plus Miss Marvel, a Pakistani Indian superhero. Like when did you see that? Like to me, representation really, really matters, because just like what Violeta was saying, it's not everyone is this blonde, or this ideal female. Like we all come in from different places. So representation is so important. And that's one of the things, like what Matt was saying with Pullip, I feel that they're working toward that. Maybe not as fast as we want them to, because maybe we need more mocha dolls or more mocha dolls, I would say, releases. Or with Taeyang, I would even say we don't even have a Taeyang that's mocha, unless it's like the Another King. I don't think there's another one besides that. But it would be great to see Pullip expand a little bit more on that diversity with different backgrounds as well. But believe it or not, I gotta say this, Groove, if you're watching this video, hands down, awesome job with that latest release that you're going to release. It's from a non-binary clothing brand. I don't know if you both saw that. There's a Pullip coming out. That's amazing. Like, to me, looking at that release, I'll put a picture somewhere here on this video. Like, you could make that release be whatever you want it to be. She could be a she could be a male, non-binary, male or female. Just looking at the release itself, like, you can make it be whatever you want it to be. And I think that to me is so freaking cool. So freaking cool. That collaboration is a good one, I feel.
And it's really cool to see like where a lot of these companies have like grown over the years, because like there's even lines like the LOL OMGs, they have Cool Lev, which, like I said, like they don't explicitly state a lot of the times that these dolls are one way or the other. But that doll, he has the trans flag colors on his outfit. His sleeves have his pronouns, he, him. And like, I never had that kind of stuff growing up. And then like Mattel, they released one of the BMR 1959 dolls was a Ken doll, but he had like really high glam makeup on. And I also remember Mattel making the Creatable World series, which I thought was really interesting, which were dolls that they said like these dolls are not like a gendered doll. These dolls, they came as models with outfits and wigs.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you can make it whatever you want. That's beautiful. And that's great. That's great, because back then when I was growing up, that never existed. Like, put it like this, I remember growing up, I wanted to have a workout doll. Why? I have no idea. I just like, that was very well, not as physical now, but back then I really liked physical activity. So I remember asking my mom when I was growing up, I'm like, Mom, why don't I have a doll that plays like baseball? Why doesn't she have like a baseball uniform, or a doll that did exercise? And my mom looked at me like I was crazy. Like, why are you thinking like that? I said, I don't know. I would like to see that. I like sports. So, those things were not there. Like, even simple things like that, everything was so gender assigned. But now I do like the new direction that some of these companies are taking, that we're seeing more of that, more diversity and more representation, which is so important, especially for this generation now. This is a total different generation from ours. They probably won't struggle with some of the struggles, I would say, some of us had to deal with growing up, right? Because things are changing. So I think we're doing really well in that area. And hopefully Pullip, Groove, if you're watching, have some more diversity. You have a crowd that wants mocha dolls. It's okay. We want mocha. We want other backgrounds. We'll be here.
Yeah, and I definitely say with newer times, some even with the older companies, like the creator of Monster High, originally Garrett Sanders, he's also a gay icon, I have to say, but he also said that some of these characters were intended to be queer, but they couldn't because of Mattel shutting it down back then. But as he got out of his job from Mattel, he explicitly said they're meant to be this, and I feel like that was really good that he said that, especially as a person who grew up with them. But also, I can definitely see why some of these companies are really scared. I don't want you to like bash them out of nowhere. There's reasons why they have to hold back. Like for specifically, like I say, America and some other places, where they're going to have a lot of local people having, bash back at them, and then, can be, what you would call that, where you won't, like you prevent someone, like you don't buy their stuff. What's that called?
Canceling them, cancel culture, right? The cancel culture, like you.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then for Groove specifically, is their Asian audience, their audience at home as well. And it's because they also have such a big audience at home base that, they can't let that down too often. And even though there's a lot of people out there who like mocha dolls in Asia, it's not as many because that stereotype where lighter the skin, the better.
Sure. Mm-hmm. They favor that more. Not that one is more beautiful than another, but again, we have to respect the culture their culture as well, because if some of you don't know, Pullip is from South Korea. So a lot of the lighter skin, being lighter skin is more favored over there. It's a cultural thing that we have to understand, that they're not like us, but eventually, hopefully, they will be more open. And I think they are. I think this non-binary pull-up that we're getting is a sign of that. I think that kind of gives me some hope, to be honest. So I want to thank you both. I know, wait, Violeta, I know, because we're cutting in time again. So I want to thank you both again, since before the video ends, I don't want to end this video without thanking you both again for joining me. And I hope everyone that's watching is enjoying our video. So Violeta, go ahead before we do our closing comments.
I just wanted to say, not even in South Korea only, because Groove did technically move over to Japan because of the company. Now Groove is located in Japan, but it's all over Asia. It's not just South Korea, unfortunately. I even see that sometimes. The one time my mom had said it before, and she's from Vietnam, I said it in an accent, but it's even there, it's basically all over there. And not even just Asia, some other countries that live nearby Asia will have that stereotype as well. It's not just Asians, unfortunately. As much as people call us yellow, that's not desired, unfortunately.
I do have some Filipino friends that struggle with that as well. That if they don't look, like you're saying, a certain way, if their complexion of skin is not light like how their parents desire it to be, there's a lot of conflict there. So it's a cultural thing with a lot of the, I would say, Asian. We see that a lot. So, well, I want to thank you both again for joining me again. And I think it's time for you to share any social media accounts that you want to share before we go. So Matt, any social media accounts anyone could follow you at or hang out with you if they want to? You want to share?
I have 2 different accounts. So if you want to follow my professional account, I do nails for a living. My professional account is Kawaii Nail Guy, and that's on Instagram. And then if you want to follow me on TikTok or my doll/drag account, it's the Jumeau Doll.
Okay, and I'll be putting that down below you all, so don't worry. And what about Violeta? Any accounts, social media accounts, TikTok?
If you're on Facebook, you just join the group. You can always see all of us there, of course, under the Emulcha group. And then I know, Scarlett, you have the Pullip group. I can't forget. I keep forgetting the name, but you also have a group there. My Instagram is Violeta_dolls with a Z, and then my TikTok, I don't post out there as often as I want to, but I do post most of the time, and it's Violeta Chu Uwu. I hate that name, but I can't change the name, unfortunately, so stick with it. I'm just gonna stick with it.
Okay, well, I will be posting everything down below you all, so don't worry. And I don't want to mean to cut us short again, but yes, this thing is trying to kick me out. So if you all want to watch us again, let us know in the comment section. I think we'll be more than happy to come back and do a 2.0 or 3.0 or more segments or any reviews together too, because I feel like I'm always talking to myself on camera. Well, I am talking to myself on camera, but it's good to have other people to talk to when I'm recording. So if you enjoyed this content, please thumbs up, Comment down below. Let us know what you think. And please follow Matt and Violeta on their social medias if you can, if you do belong to any of those social media accounts, because I know sometimes people may not use TikTok. Find them and say hello. Don't be shy. As you can see, we're all here. We're friendly and we all talk to each other. And we're, again, part of the Pullip community. Like Violeta was saying, go to Omocha group. I'll post the link down below. We have Pullip collectors there, or you could join my group as well as Pullip Fashion on Facebook. So that's pretty much it. So we have a beautiful Rose and Maiden saying bye-bye to everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm always saying that. Mwah. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.